going to be working on adding and subtracting decimals. So adding and subtracting decimals is actually super easy as long as you already know how to add and subtract. The only difference is going to be the magical decimal line. Let me make my magical decimal line a little bit thinner. Magical decimal line. All decimals, when you are adding, must fall on the magical decimal line. So you might have 3 2/10 plus 4 57/100. Your decimals must be in a perfect magical decimal line every single time. Let's go ahead and jump in and do a few examples. We've got 3 56/100 plus 12 47/100. Now this is a really easy one. You just got to stack them up. I'm going to put my 12 on top because it is the bigger number. So I'm going to say 12 47/100. Now I'm going to line up my decimal. I know my decimal's right here. So I'm going to say 3 56/100. And we are adding. Look at that magical decimal line. It is right there. It is beautiful. Let's add them up. 7 plus 6. I know that 6 plus 6 is 12. So another one is 13. Carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 5 is 10. Carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 3 is 6. 1 plus nothing is here. Bring down your 1. So my answer is 16 3/100. That decimal, if you line it up correctly, comes straight down all the way, works really well. Let's go ahead and try the next one. All right, so for this, we've got 5 8/10 plus 4 278 thousandths. All right, so we're gonna have to be very careful about our decimal. I'm gonna go ahead and make my magical decimal line be right here. Magical decimal line. So let's put our numbers off. 5 8/10. 4 278 thousandths. Now, if you have a number on the bottom, you have to have a number on the top. I don't care if you're adding or subtracting or whatever you're doing, you have to have a number up here. And we know that 5 8/10 is the same as 5 800 thousandths because the zeros at the end really don't mean anything. They're just placeholders. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my 2 zeros as my placeholders. Now we can add it up. 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 7 is 7. 8 plus 2 is 10. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 4 is 10. So my answer, if you bring down that decimal, is 10 78 hundredths. 78 thousandths. 10 78 thousandths. For this one, I want you to line it up by yourself on your paper. Go ahead and add it up, and we'll do it together when you're done. All right, so you should have made, it's not all going to fit on here. Oops, sorry. We'll have to make it work. You should have made a magical decimal line right about here. And we're going to say, that 5 is going to have to go on the outside, 15 85 hundredths. Now, I put that line way over here because when we add our 3 124 thousandths, I wanted the most of it as possible to show or be on our little graph. I gave you graph paper to make sure that we keep it nice and neat because that's very important. Now, in this blank spot up here, you should have put a 0 as a placeholder. You have to have a placeholder 0. You can't say nothing is there. Something's got to be there. There are 0 thousandths there. So we say 0 plus 4 is 4. 5 plus 2 is 7. 8 plus 1 is 9. 3 plus 5 is 8. 1 plus 0, nothing is there, is 1. Bring down that decimal point. Our answer is 18 974 thousandths. If you got that wrong, make sure you go back and check your work. See where you went wrong. Did you not use the magical decimal line? You have to use the magical decimal line. It's very important. Now to move on to subtraction. For subtraction, we still have a magical decimal line. I'm going to set it up right here. It's magical. It changes colors. It's beautiful. Let's line up our decimals on it. We've got 12 34 hundredths minus 6 82 hundredths. Let's go ahead and subtract it out. Normal subtraction. As long as you let your decimal fall down the magical decimal line, you've got normal subtraction here. 4 minus 2 is 2. You can't say 3 minus 8. If you have 3 cookies, I cannot take 8 cookies. So we're going to have to borrow from our 2, make that a 1, make this a 13. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's 5. Can't do 1 minus 6, so we got to borrow from our 1, make that a 0. This is now an 11. I know 6 plus 6 is 12, so I know that 6 plus 5 is 11. So 11 minus 6 is 5. Bring down the decimal on the magical decimal line. Your answer is 5 and 52 hundredths. Make sure you bring that magical decimal line now down. For this next one, we're going to have another 0 placeholder. This is where it gets a little bit trickier. So my magical decimal line is going to go right here. Beautiful magical decimal line. I've got 5 and 7/10 minus 2 and 591 thousandths. You cannot have blank spaces up here. It doesn't work. You can't do it. You can't say nothing minus 1. You got to put your placeholder zeros. If you don't, it will not work. You have to put your placeholder zeros in. Let's go ahead and subtract. Can't say 0 minus 1. Can't borrow from a 0, so we're going to borrow from our 7. We're going to make it a 6. Turn this into a 10. Borrow from that. Make it a 9. That makes this a 10. Now let's review what I just did there. I turned 6/10 or 7/10 into 6/10. I borrowed a 10th, made it into, so I had 10 hundredths. Borrowed from that, had 9 hundredths. So I have 10 thousandths over here. If you need help, work it out with base 10 blocks. That'll help as well. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0. 6 minus 5 is 1. 5 minus 2 is 3. Bring down that decimal on the magical decimal line. Your answer is 3 and 109 thousandths. If you had not put your zeros there, you would have brought down the 9 and the 1, and you would have 3 and 191 thousandths. That would be the wrong answer. You've got to put your placeholders in anytime you have blank spaces in a decimal. Let's go ahead. I want you to try this last one. Really think about where your magical decimal line should go. I'm going to go ahead and tell you it needs to go right here, just to kind of get you started. Make sure you line those decimals up on the magical decimal line and think about if you need a placeholder. Go ahead and work it out. For this one, you should have said 4 and 571 thousandths minus 2 and 100th. You have to put your placeholder here. Had to put a placeholder here. Cannot say 1 minus nothing. We got to say 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. Bring down that decimal point. We've got 2 and 561 thousandths. I hope you understood how all that went. Make sure you're double checking your work with mine to make sure you have the right stuff. Go ahead and glue your notes down. Let's get started on classwork.